The woman in the hotel hallway. My name is Stephen Mitchell, and I'm 36 years old. I work as a hotel manager at the Grand Riverside Hotel, located in downtown Memphis, Tennessee. And the night a woman checked into a room during a severe thunderstorm and didn't check out, but instead seemed to be waiting for something or someone specific, is the night I discovered that hotels harbor secrets that go far deeper than the surface-level transactions of rooms and money and guests. Before I begin, if you ever work the night shift at a hotel, pay attention to which guests seem to be waiting for someone instead of settling into their rooms. Keep listening, because the woman I encountered that night was not just a guest. And the reason she had chosen that particular hotel at that particular time would lead me to uncover something that made me question whether I should have ever interfered in her situation at all. I had been working at the Grand Riverside Hotel for 12 years. I started as a front desk clerk and worked my way up to manager. I knew every aspect of hotel operations. I knew how to manage the staff. I knew how to handle difficult guests. I knew how to manage the financial side of running a hotel. The Grand Riverside was a 4-star hotel with 200 rooms spread across 16 stories. We attracted business travelers, tourists, and occasionally people who were in Memphis. For various reasons they kept private. The night shift management position was less glamorous than the day shift. The night shift manager was responsible for the building from 11 at night until 7 in the morning. During those hours, most guests were in their rooms sleeping. The hotel was quiet. The work was mostly monitoring the staff, handling any guest complaints, and making sure the front desk stayed operational. It was peaceful work, mostly. The kind of work that let me think and observe the patterns of behavior that revealed themselves during the late hours. I had noticed certain patterns over the years. I had noticed which guests seemed troubled, which guests seemed to be running from something, which guests seemed to be waiting for something, which guests seemed to be in situations that were more complicated than just needing a place to sleep. I had developed an instinct for reading people, an ability to understand what was really happening beneath the surface of their transactions. Thursday evening in November, the weather forecast mentioned a severe thunderstorm moving through Memphis. The storm was expected to arrive around midnight and was supposed to be intense. By the time I arrived from my shift at 11, the rain was already starting to fall. By midnight, the storm had arrived in full force. The rain was coming down so hard, you could barely see across the street. The wind was howling around the building. The lightning was flashing constantly. The thunder was shaking the structure of the hotel itself. During severe thunderstorms, the hotel usually stayed quiet. Most people were already in their rooms. Most people were not venturing out into the weather. But around 12:30 that night, a woman came through the front entrance. She was soaking wet from the rain. She was carrying a small bag that looked like a travel bag or a purse. She was alone. She approached the front desk. The front desk clerk, a young woman named Ashley, was handling the check-in. I was in my office monitoring the situation through the glass partition that separated the office from the lobby. I could see the woman clearly. She was maybe in her mid-30s. She had dark hair that was plastered to her head from the rain. She was wearing a dark coat that was dripping water onto the lobby floor. She looked nervous. She looked like someone who was trying to appear calm, but was struggling with something underneath that calm surface. Ashley was processing the reservation. The woman had made a phone reservation earlier that day. She had requested a specific room. She had paid cash for 3 nights in advance. She had provided minimal information on the reservation. No credit card. No ID required for cash payments. She had requested not to be disturbed and to not receive any phone calls routed to her room. I watched as Ashley handed the woman her key card. I watched the woman take it and look at the room number. I watched her glance around the lobby as if she was checking to see if anyone was there. Then she walked toward the elevator. She got in. The elevator doors closed. She was gone. Something about the interaction made me uncomfortable. Something about her appearance and her behavior suggested that there was more to her situation than just a guest checking into a hotel. Something about the way she had looked around the lobby suggested she was looking for a specific person, or checking to see if a specific person was there. I made a note of her room number. Room 915, 9th floor. I made a note of her check-in information. She had registered under the name Sarah Mitchell. The name seemed generic enough that it might be fake. She had no phone number listed. She had given a local address that I suspected was fake as well. By 1 in the morning, the storm had intensified. The rain was even heavier. The wind was even stronger. The lightning and thunder were almost simultaneous, which meant the storm was directly overhead. The hotel was locked down. No one was coming in or going out. We were isolated by weather from the outside world. I decided to do my usual round of the hotel. I took the elevator up through the various floors. I checked the hallways. I made sure everything looked normal and secure. When I reached the 9th floor, I was planning to just pass by room 915 and continue with my round. But something made me stop. Something made me look more carefully at that hallway. I saw the woman. She was standing outside her room. She was standing in the hallway looking at the elevator. She wasn't doing anything. She wasn't opening her room. She wasn't going anywhere. She was just standing there, watching the elevator, waiting for something or someone to come out of it. I approached her. I asked if she needed any assistance. She jumped. She was startled by my presence. She turned to look at me. I could see fear in her eyes. Real fear. Not just surprise, but genuine fear. She said no. She said she was fine. She said she was just getting some air. She said the room felt a bit stuffy. I said it was late, and the hallways were closed to guests for security. I said if she needed anything, she should call the front desk. She said, okay. She went back into her room and closed the door. But something about the interaction stayed with me. Something about her explanation didn't match her behavior. Someone doesn't stand outside their room for no reason at 1 in the morning during a thunderstorm. I continued my round. I checked the other floors. I returned to the lobby. I was thinking about the woman in room 915. I was wondering what she was doing. I was wondering who she was waiting for. I was wondering if she was in trouble. By 2:30 in the morning, the storm had not let up. The rain continued. The wind continued. The hotel remained isolated. I was sitting in my office doing paperwork when Ashley came to me. She said there had been a phone call. A man had called, asking if a woman matching a specific description had checked in. Ashley said she had told the man she couldn't provide that information due to privacy policies. The man had gotten angry. The man had said he was looking for someone very important. The man had hung up. I felt a chill. A man was looking for the woman in room 915. A man had called the hotel specifically looking for her. A man knew she might be here or knew her patterns well enough to call and check. This was not a coincidence. This was not a random call. This was someone searching for someone. I made a decision. I was going to check on the woman in room 915. I was going to make sure she was okay. I told Ashley to monitor the front entrance and the phone lines. I told her to let me know if anyone else called or tried to come into the hotel. I took the elevator up to the 9th floor. I walked down the hallway toward room 915. The hallway was quiet. The hotel was quiet, except for the sound of the storm outside. I approached the room. I noticed the Do Not Disturb sign was on the door handle. I knocked anyway. There was no answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I was considering whether to use my master key when I heard a sound. The sound of the door opening slightly. The woman looked out through the crack. She was looking at me with fear in her eyes again. I said I wanted to make sure you were okay. I said we had received a phone call about you. I said someone was looking for you. I said if you needed help, I could provide it. The woman was quiet for a long moment. Then she opened the door wider. She said, "Can I trust you?" I said I didn't know, but I was offering to help. She told me her story. She said her name was not Sarah Mitchell. She said her real name was Catherine. She said she was running from someone. She said the man who had called the hotel was the person she was running from. She said he was violent. She said he had hurt her. She said she had left him and taken shelter in different hotels trying to lose him. She said the reason she had been standing in the hallway was because she was trying to figure out if he had found her. She said she had been hoping someone would come out of the elevator. Someone she knew from the hotel or from outside who could tell her if he was downstairs. She said she was trying to decide if she needed to leave or if she was still safe. I told her I would help her. I told her she could stay in the hotel. I told her I would make sure no one got to her. I told her that the hotel had security. I told her that I would monitor the situation. She seemed to relax slightly. She said thank you. She said she didn't know what else to do. I went back downstairs. I alerted the security team. I told them about the situation. I told them to watch for a man who might try to come into the hotel looking for a female guest. I told them to document anyone asking about rooms or guests. I told them to be vigilant. For the rest of the night, I monitored the situation. The storm continued outside. The woman stayed in her room on the 9th floor. The hotel remained secure. No one else called. No one tried to enter the building. By the time dawn came, the storm had passed. The sun was rising. The night shift was ending. But then something changed. At 6 in the morning, just before I was supposed to leave, the woman came down to the front desk. She had checked out. She had packed her belongings. She was leaving the hotel. I asked her where she was going. She said she couldn't stay. She said she needed to keep moving. She said the longer she stayed in one place, the more likely he would find her. I tried to convince her to stay. I tried to convince her that the hotel was safe. I tried to convince her that calling the police would help. But she was resolute. She had made her decision. She checked out and walked out into the morning light and disappeared. I never saw her again. I never found out what happened to her. I never found out if she escaped from the man who was hunting her. I never found out if she eventually found safety somewhere. I only know that she had been in my hotel for one night, and that I had offered her help, and that she had chosen to leave anyway. 3 weeks later, I saw something on the news. A woman matching Catherine's description had been found dead in a rural area, about 40 miles from Memphis. She'd been there for at least a week, based on the condition of the body. There was an investigation. The police were looking for a suspect. The description of the suspect matched the man I imagined had been calling and looking for Catherine at the hotel. I immediately contacted the police. I told them about Catherine checking into my hotel. I told them about the phone call. I told them about the woman's story of running from someone. The police took my statement. They reviewed the hotel records. They thanked me for the information, and they said they would follow up. But here's what haunts me about that situation. Here's what I still think about when I'm working the night shift. I helped her. I offered her protection. I offered her shelter. But she left anyway. And 3 weeks later, she was dead. And I can't stop wondering if my help actually made things worse. If my attention to her situation had somehow signaled to the man that she was there. If my involvement had somehow led him to find her faster than he would have found her otherwise. The police investigation determined that the man who had called the hotel was indeed the suspect. He was arrested 6 months later in another state. He was convicted of murder. He is now serving a life sentence. But that doesn't change the fact that Catherine is dead. That doesn't change the fact that I was there when she needed help, and I tried to give it, but it wasn't enough. What haunts me most is the choice she made. She was safe in the hotel. The storm had isolated the building. No one could reach her. But she chose to leave. She chose to go back out into the world where the man who was hunting her could find her. She chose to keep running instead of standing and fighting or calling for help. And I wonder if I should have done more. I wonder if I should have called the police myself without asking her. I wonder if I should have forced her to stay in the hotel. I wonder if I should have done something different that might have changed the outcome. But mostly I think about that night. I think about the severe thunderstorm. I think about the woman standing in the hallway waiting for something. I think about the fear in her eyes. I think about the story she told me. I think about her leaving in the morning light. And I think about how sometimes the person you're trying to help doesn't want to be helped. Sometimes they're running from something so powerful that shelter feels temporary. Sometimes they've decided that their own fate is inevitable, and no hotel manager at 2 a.m. can change that. The rain that fell that night was severe and isolating and protective. It kept the man from finding her that night. It gave her 1 night of safety in my hotel. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. Because 3 weeks later, she was dead. So if you're running from someone, if you're hiding from something, please understand that help is available. Please understand that hotels and police and other people can provide real protection. Please understand that standing in a hallway at 2 a.m. waiting for something to change is not a solution. Please understand that sometimes you have to accept help even when you're terrified, even when you're tired of running, even when every instinct tells you that danger is everywhere. I'm still working the night shift at the Grand Riverside Hotel. I'm still monitoring the guests. I'm still paying attention to the patterns of behavior that reveal what's really happening beneath the surface. But I'm different now. I understand that sometimes helping someone means letting them make their own choices, even when those choices seem destructive. I understand that you can't save people who don't want to be saved. I understand that sometimes the person in the hotel hallway at 2 a.m. during a thunderstorm is facing a situation so complex that all the protection in the world can't change the outcome. And every time a severe thunderstorm comes through Memphis, every time the rain is heavy, and the wind is strong, and the lightning is flashing, I think about Catherine. I think about the woman standing in the 9th floor hallway. I think about the choice she made to leave. I think about the man who was hunting her. I think about the fact that I was there, and I tried to help, and it wasn't enough. And I carry that knowledge with me like a weight that never gets lighter. The knowledge that sometimes being in the right place at the right time to offer help is not the same as being able to actually save someone from their own circumstances.